Okay, it is Friday night, so we are doing Friday Night Live. Tonight's topic kind of came to me in the middle of the week. It is based upon a question from the classroom, doing virtual training right now, but getting a lot of emails from people asking questions. So I want to read it specifically to you, and then we're going to jump into the topic and actually discuss this evening something that's called the Windfall Elimination Provision, or WEP for short. So the email says, "Good morning, Debbie. I just wanted to let you know that I've retired from the government effective 31 December 2020. Thank you for supporting our organization over the years. I have just a couple of questions related to my retirement. I'm contacting the Social Security office this week to initiate actions to receive my benefits. I don't quite understand the windfall elimination provision and how it will affect my pension. I'm 67. I turned 68 in July and worked 24 years for the Air Force and then 24 years as a DoD civilian. Also, would my wife's benefits be affected by me receiving benefits? I know you're busy, but if you have time, please advise so I will have some information before I contact the Social Security office." So, first of all, I am busy. I am never too busy to answer questions like this. I really, really want people to understand how their retirement benefits work. And if there's any way that I can help you, I'm always super happy to do that. As I said to a student yesterday, like, you don't go through this all the time, right? You retire once, maybe twice, depending on what you've got going on, but it's not something that you do every day. I help people understand their benefits every day, and I'm thrilled to be able to do it. I might not be able to respond like the second you send me an email, but I will get back to you. So, I like to personalize these Friday Night Lives as well. If you have any questions that you would like for me to hop on and talk about here, please don't hesitate to let me know. It's hard for me sometimes to come up with the topics because I do deal with it all the time. And so sometimes it just seems, I don't know, normal to me. It seems too simple to me. And I go like, people don't actually want to talk about that. When in fact, maybe people do want to talk about that. And it only seems simple to me because I deal with it all the time. So let me know, please, if there are any topics that you want to discuss. And I'm super happy to have gotten this email so I can bring it forward and I can actually talk about it tonight. Sorry, I just bumped into the desk, which makes it go a little bit crazy. So, we have talked about Social Security's retirement program several times before. They have a disability program, they administer Medicare, there's a survivor program as well. But here we've talked about retirement, and you may or may not remember, we're not going to get deep into this tonight, that in order to be eligible to receive Social Security retirement, two things have to be true. You have to be at least 62 and you have to have at least 40 credits or quarters, and not at least, like 40 credits is what's required in order for you to become eligible, and you have to also be 62 or older. So again, I'm going to bring this up just so that it will show on the screen if people are watching it later on and they maybe didn't catch the Social Security retirement briefings. But depending on the year that you were born, you have to be between 66 and 67 and so many months in order to get 100% of your benefits. If you wait until you're 70, it's possible to get more than 100% of your benefits. But regardless of what your full retirement age is, we're all eligible to apply as young as 62 if we want to, knowing that we would be locking into a penalty if we draw early, and that penalty is permanent for the rest of our lives. So again, I'm not going to get deep into that, but I wanted to bring it up in case other people miss that eligibility piece and they're interested in knowing about it. So age is simple enough, right? We age And we can tell when we're at that appropriate age for Social Security. But what about these credits or these quarters? And those terms are interchangeable. We earn credits or quarters by working in a job and paying into Social Security. We pay into Social Security through a tax that's called OASDI, or Old Age Survivor and Disability Insurance. That payroll tax equals 6.2% of each of our paychecks. We have to pay double if we're working for ourselves because we pay the employer and the employee portion. If I'm working in a job and I'm paying this 6.2% tax, then whenever I earn a certain amount of money, I also earn a credit. And that amount of money changes every single year. So you can see here on my slide for 2021, I've got to earn $1,470 in order to also earn one Social Security credit. Now, when we talk about WEP, the Windfall Elimination Provision, this is going to change the normal Social Security computation for someone who worked in a job but didn't pay into Social Security. Some state employees don't pay into Social Security. Some teachers don't pay into Social Security. Our CSRS employees within the federal government don't pay into Social Security. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't get it. It does mean, though, that they're not earning credits in these jobs when they're not paying in. So if they get their credit somewhere else, they do become eligible for a benefit. So when we talk about Social Security, okay, eligibility is one thing. Got to be 62, got to have my 40 credits. How do I earn credits? I work in a job and I pay this tax into Social Security. Once I become eligible, Social Security has a computation that looks kind of similar to the federal employees' retirement computation. If you're familiar with that, we have creditable service times the high three average salary times a formula. Well, Social Security keeps track of our creditable service by tracking how much we pay in taxes every single year. You can see that on the third page of your Social Security statement. That's where you can look at your creditable service. You see a year with a number next to it. Think of that as a year of creditable service for Social Security. For our federal pensions, we multiply by a high 3. For our Social Security, we multiply by a high 35. And for most of the employees, the federal retirement is one single line of formula. There's some exceptions to that, but for most people, it's one line. The Social Security computation is always 3 lines of formula. This is going to be relevant as we talk about this Windfall Elimination Provision, or the WEP. Okay, first, my high 35 has a name. It's called my average index monthly earnings. And the way that we compute that is by looking at my highest 35 years of earnings as reported to Social Security. We index them to current day values, and then we divide by 420. And the reason that we do is because we're looking for a monthly average. There's 420 months in a 35-year period of time. So here's what that looks like. This is a copy of a Social Security statement here. We go down through here very simplistically, okay? We've got to do the indexing piece, but very simplistically. We go down here, page 3 of that statement, pick out the highest 35 numbers. It's always got to be 35. So zeros count, meaning if I paid in for 10 years and that's all I paid in, then I've got my 40 credits. I am eligible. But if that is all I paid in, then I also got 25 zeros to add into this average index monthly earnings, okay? Pick out the highest 35 numbers, add them all up, divide by 420. The answer is your AIM, average index monthly earnings. Now I've got to plug that against 3 lines of formula to get my primary insurance amount. For the first, and these bend points, the numbers that you see are called bend points. They change every year. So for 2021, the first $996 that I have for my average index monthly earnings, I get 90%. For the next $5,006 of average index monthly earnings, I get 32%. And for everything over the top of the first two numbers, I get 15%. We add it up. That's my Social Security retirement benefit at my full retirement age. If I draw early, I have a penalty. If I draw late, my benefit is enhanced. But this is where my regular or full 100% Social Security benefit comes from if I draw at 66 to 67. Now, here's where WEP comes into play. If I have ever been in a job that didn't contribute to Social Security, it can change the first line of this 3-line formula. And that's all it's going to change. So I've heard people say, well, because I worked in this job and I didn't pay in, I don't get Social Security. Nope. If you got your 40 credits, you do. You just have a different formula. I've heard people say, I'm only going to get 40% of my Social Security because of WEP. No, that's not how it works either. The 3 lines are set, right? The dollar amounts change every year, but the 90%, the 32%, the 15%, those are set. So Social Security is designed to replace a higher percentage of income for low income people. If I make a lot of money, most of my dollars are in that 15% range. If I don't make very much money, most of my dollars are in the 90% or the 32% range. So it's designed to replace a higher percentage of income for low income people. Prior to 1983, which is when the Windfall Elimination Provision was actually signed into law, people like CSRS employees or many state workers who were working but weren't paying into Social Security were reporting zeros to Social Security every year. They looked like they were low income people, even though they weren't. They just weren't paying in. So 1983, the government is struggling with funding. We're looking for money, and they go, oh, wait a minute. These people aren't actually low income. They're just not participating. So we're going to eliminate the windfall they previously received. WEP, WEP. It changes only the first line. So how much it's going to change that first line will depend on how many years of substantial earnings the person actually had. We're not talking about quarters anymore. I've got to get 40 or I'm not eligible for anything. Once I get 40, okay, now the door's open. We're talking about how much do I get. That's when WEP comes into play. Okay, so the Social Security Administration does publish a chart. They update it every year, and you can see it here. If you can make it big enough to see on your screen, you can see the dollar amounts, okay? If I made this much money or more, according to my Social Security statement in any given year, then I get to count that year. But if I made $1 less than what's showing here, I don't get to count that year. So if I go through page 3 of my statement, looking at how much is a substantial year of earnings and checking it off. Yep, I got that one, I got that one, I got that one. Oh, I didn't get that one, I didn't get that one. Go through your entire record and then add up your check marks. WEP does not apply if you have paid into Social Security for 30 years of substantial earnings. So back to the email that I got with a question, because this guy served in the military for 24 years and had another 20 plus years as a federal civilian. It didn't apply to him at all. It's just something that he's heard about over the years and was wondering about, but he's paid into Social Security well over 30 years. WEP doesn't apply. If you had the job that didn't pay in and you have paid in but less than 30 years, I did my substantial earning checkmark list, then I can bring my check marks into the smaller chart and find out what the first line of my computation is going to be. For most people, it's 90%. That's normal, that's regular. But if I have WEP applied, the first line of my computation might be only 40%. So this is why people say I'm only going to get 40% of my benefit. No, it's just that first $996, instead of that being multiplied by 90%, it might be multiplied by 40% if you have 20 or fewer check marks. It would be 40% instead of 90%. The 32% line stays the same. The 15% line stays the same. So that's what WEP is. I just wanted to bring that forward and talk about it because I do get a lot of questions with that. If you have always been paying into Social Security, again, you don't have to worry about it. The person that sent me the question doesn't have to worry about it. Right now, the Windfall Elimination Provision affects about 1.5 million people across the United States, which sounds like a really big number. But in fact, that's only 2.5% of all of the people that are receiving Social Security benefits. So WEP probably doesn't apply to you. It doesn't apply to most people, 2.5% of all recipients that are hit with this right now. If it does apply to you, I'm sorry, I know it's not a good thing because your benefits are being reduced. So another follow-up question that I get many times in the classroom is Congress talking about doing away with this? Are they talking about, eliminating the WEP? And the answer is yes, they're talking about it. They have been talking about it since 1983. There is currently a bill in Congress, like there is almost every single year, proposing a repeal of the WEP. If I had a crystal ball, which I don't, I would guess it's probably not going anywhere, simply because it would mean increased benefits. And we all know that Social Security is struggling with funding issues at this point. So probably not going to go anywhere. That's a guess. That's a crystal ball thing. I certainly don't know. Nobody does. If it changes, I'll let you know. That's my Friday Night Live. So I can see that there are 3 people watching. Thanks for stopping by. Let me know if you have any questions whatsoever. Just type them in the comments, please, now or later. If you're watching it later, let me know that you stopped by. Let me know if you have any questions, okay? I hope you have a great weekend. Take care of yourself.